let's talk about Africa. Over the past 125 years, Christianity has never grown more than it has in Africa. Throughout history, most of this region practiced African traditional religions. But at the same time, Christianity emerged there as early as the 1st century. In fact, African believers were recorded at Pentecost, and the Orthodox Church was founded in Egypt and Ethiopia as early as 42 AD. Fast-forwarding to the 1400s, European colonizers invaded the continent, and some brought missionaries along Africa's coasts. These churches were generally not widely accepted. Then, rapid decolonization in the 20th century led to an explosion of independent African-led churches with fresh contextual theologies and practices. Suddenly, Christianity grew. When we look at Africa today, there's a unique geographical split. North of the Sahara Desert, Islam is the most common religious practice, and south is predominantly Christian. Countries along this border often face intense religious conflict. Africa contains 19% of the total global population and 29% of all Christians in the world. About half of the continent identifies as Christian. That's 754 million people. Now let's imagine those 754 million Christians as 100 people. 48 would have no electricity. 42 would have poor air quality. 71 wouldn't have access to the internet. 61 wouldn't have access to secondary education. And 23 wouldn't have proper nutrition. None would live on over $100 a day. None would be expected to live over 75, and none would have adequate access to doctors. Even though women make up the majority of African churches, 32 out of these 100 Christians live in places designated as high gender inequality areas, and 66 in moderate gender inequality areas. All 100 would live in countries with high to moderate corruption levels. On a positive note, overall religious freedom in Africa has improved, meaning both government restrictions and social-cultural pressures have eased across the region. Now let's dive a little deeper on two topics that influence the African church. First, the church in Africa is thriving despite economic and social barriers. How is this happening? One way is a deep reliance on the Spirit, which we can see through the growth of the Pentecostal and charismatic movements. 252 million people identify with or attend charismatic or Pentecostal churches, which emphasize an intimate relationship with the Holy Spirit and regularly engage in healings, exorcisms, prophecies, and revival. African Christians also greatly care about sharing their faith with those around them, contributing to the huge increase in the number of Christians there. In fact, by 2075, both the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Nigeria will surpass the United States as the countries with the most Christians in the world. And they're among the biggest missionary sending countries in the world too, planting churches all around the globe. Second, the church in Africa is remarkably young. 42% of African churches are under the age of 15, a percentage that's growing as birth rates continue rising. Imagine almost half of your church being under the age of 15. The future of the church depends on these young people, and God is moving powerfully among their generation. Seminaries and trainings across Africa are focusing on equipping young leaders to bring their unique gifts, perspectives, and theologies to local churches, in turn influencing the entire global church. It's incredible to see how God is moving in this region. But as we look toward the future, there's one more important statistic to keep in mind. 22% of Africa still doesn't have access to the gospel. So just as He has over these past 125 years, we are eager to see how God will continue to work, growing and shaping His church here for years to come.